What's going on, guys? Hornot 606 here, and once again I'm bringing you another figure from my collection. A recent pickup in the early parts of 2020. It is the S.H.Figuarts M Bison, based on one of his Street Fighter V alternate costumes, which is kind of looks similar to his Street Fighter 2 look. It's quite a weird line. Even though the characters are based on Street Fighter V, as it says in the box, but their individual attires and looks just looks like their previous versions from other games, so it's a bit weird. But this is the Street Fighter V version. It is one of the alternative costumes. I guess it's not an exact look of his Street Fighter 2 look. The head and the belt buckle are missing some details, it is that way in the Street Fighter V game for some strange reason, but I'm pretty sure in the Street Fighter 2 game there was a symbol in his head and a symbol in his belt buckle. Also, if you do notice, there is a cape on this guy. He doesn't come with a cape. I actually took the cape from the Articulation M Bison, which came out many years ago, and I placed it on this one, and it looks pretty good. When I think of M Bison, I always think of M Bison. You know, he has a cape, even though he chucks it away sometimes, or in Alpha he actually keeps it on. So I added the cape, and I like it. And I kind of wish they did put a cape in there. Would it have been that hard to do so? I don't think so. But they haven't done it, so I did it myself. He is bulky. That's how he is in the Street Fighter V game, and overall he looks like a pretty good, sturdy figure. Well articulated. I like the details. He doesn't really come with much accessories, but we'll get into that as we go throughout the video. It's nice to see the S.H.Figuarts line continue the Street Fighter line. I've been a fan of it since, you know, the first set of figures came out, and I'm glad that they finally did the Bison. Bison was one of the figures I was looking forward to, and they did it. There is a Sagat figure coming out as well. I'm looking forward to that as well. I've pretty much got all the previous characters so far, and I'll continue to collect probably the rest of the line. I don't know much further this line will go, but I'm glad it's here. But onto this Bison figure. I mean, it is a superb looking figure. I love the little details, I love the shading, I love the articulation. He does come with two faces, so this is his, I guess, grimacing, smiling face. He does come with a more serious face, so only two faces. He does come with some other accessories, alternative open hands, some kind of, I guess, psycho energy effect to those. I think that's about it. So he doesn't come with much, unfortunately, but they've done a pretty good job here. When I was looking at some early photos and stuff, I was kind of worried for the figure because it didn't look that great. But now that I have it in hand, I actually love the figure. I love the way that they've built the figure. I love the articulation. And the only thing that for me that was missing was a cape of some kind that I could attach to the figure. So as you can see, as I said not too long ago, I did add the Soul Toys cape to this figure, and I guess it just adds a little something to the character, having the cape. So I don't usually spend a lot of time on articulation, but we'll give it a quick run through. So his shoulder pads can move for some added extra arm articulation movement. His head can rotate as well, can move up and down slightly. Obviously the lower neck part can also move if you can get it to move. As I said, he does come with two alternative faces as well. So there is no kind of upper arm swivel due to the fighting body nature, but the whole arm can rotate. It can move inwards and outwards, up and down, so you can get some pretty good movement. There is kind of like a butterfly joint in here as well. I'm not quite sure why. It doesn't really seem to add any particularly too much extra movement from what I can see. You also do get double elbows, and you get that kind of nice swivel elbow joint there as well, which is also, it kind of makes up for the fact that there is no upper arm swivel joint. Hands can rotate There is slight kind of hinge movement, not much though, so that's kind of worthless. Upper diaphragm joint works nicely, waist swivel as well. I guess it's also on a ball joint, so you can also, the kind of waist part can also move backwards and forwards as well. So that's all nice and dandy. You can get quite a few range of motions from that. As I said before, the belt buckle has no actual details on it, which I found quite strange. So legs can spread out that far, legs can move forward about that far. You could probably push it a little bit more. Leg can go back about that far, hindered by the lower, I guess, skirt, if you want to call it skirt piece, the lower skirt piece there. It is a separate piece. It is hindered by that a little bit. You got the knee joint here, can go back that far, about 90 degrees I would say. There is a toe swivel there, also an ankle swivel as well. You can get quite a few ranges of motions from that as well, and I would say that just about does it for all the articulation on this guy. And then here's a look at the back. I think it's pretty well sculpted, quite a bulky Bison, just like the Street Fighter 5 video game. So I love what they've done with the figure, and as I said before a number of times in the video, I'm glad to have it in my collection. Now some people are going to be on the fence of whether this is the kind of figure they want in the collection, either due to the scale or size of the figure. Maybe they feel that Storm Collectibles is better, more detailed, which I know I'm not going to disagree with that. I think it's done a lot of things better. Maybe price point, but for me, I started my collection with S.H.Figuarts, and I would like to continue with the S.H.Figuarts. The all-in scale, the price point is not too high for me. I love the range of articulation and engineering that they've given us with the fighting body. I think they've given us a pretty decent version of Bison, and I can't really fault the figure. Maybe you could argue maybe a few more bits of detail in places, but I feel that the figure is perfectly fine as it is. My only gripe would have been give it a cape, which they didn't, so I added my own cape. And here it is next to the Soul Toys version, which is well over a decade old, but Soul Toys, I say, was ahead of their time. They had a range of articulation, and this was roughly at the time a £25 figure, and with the level of detail it had and articulation and accessories, it also came with interchangeable hands. It came with a kind of effect piece that goes over one of his fists, and it came with a cape that pegs into his shoulder pads. So it was a figure of its time, and it did a lot. But now we're in 2020. The Figuarts line is come along with Storm Collectibles. They've done a lot of things better. The engineering is better. I think the shading is superb on this figure. I love the interchangeable faces. I love the details on the face. That Crimson face is just fantastic. Even the serious face is great. He comes with some interchangeable hands. He's got a pair of fists and a pair of open hands, and that's all he needs. I don't think he needs anything else. Maybe a glowing hand would have been nice. Maybe some more effect pieces would have been nice. But again, if you're one of the many or few guys that are good at posing their figures, then you can get a lot done with this guy if you're very creative. I'm glad to have this figure on my shelf, and I can't emphasize enough. The only thing that was missing for me was a cape and some better effect pieces. I don't really like the psycho glowing purple effect that they've given him. It's like, this is pretty much useless. I would rather maybe some effect piece that fits over a hand, like a glowing fist, or something that aids one of his psycho powers. But this, it's not great. It's kind of like you could have given us a better effect piece, could have given us a cape as well. And if you're wondering, the cape that I took off the Sort of Toys, all I've done is the pegs are fitted underneath the shoulder pads and it pretty much stays in place, and that's how I like it, and that's how I think I'll keep him with the cape on. But let's get on to some comparisons before we wrap up this video. So here he is next to Marvel Legends Dr. Doom, which is another great, superb figure. Here he is next to Hasbro's Overwatch Ultimates McCree. Here he is to his fellow Street Fighter mate Ryu, or Ryu, however you want to pronounce it. Here he is next to Marvel Legends Wolverine from the 3-pack with Cyclops and Jean. Here he is next to Marvel Legends Apocalypse. Here he is next to Marvel Legends Monster Venom, another recent pickup from 2020. Here he is also next to Jiren from S.H.Figuarts, another recent pickup in 2020. Definitely going to be looking at him in another video. Here he is next to a older figure that I actually picked up relatively recently. It will be Marvel Legends Nick Fury. Here he is again with Here he is next to Hasbro's Overwatch Ultimate Soldier 76. So as you can see, he is in line with other figures of his scale. So pretty much any Marvel Legends, most S.H.Figuarts. So it scales pretty well. He's not overly big, which is one reason why I stay away from Storm collectibles. Their figures are too big for the majority of my figures in my collection. But yeah, he fits in quite well. So I don't have much else to say. He's a superb figure to add to the collection. I'm looking forward to more Street Fighter figures from S.H.Figuarts to be released. And I'm finally glad that they did M. Bison. I thought I'd have to wait longer to finally get another M. Bison, but I'm glad I have one. But that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again for one of my other videos. Thank you and goodbye.